I'm Donna Clement Petrushka, and I am honored to invite you to something truly extraordinary, the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. My father, Kim Clement, carried a unique prophetic anointing that allowed him to reveal God's heart and divine truths in ways that continue to resonate deeply today. His prophetic words, teachings, and worship moments are not just history. They are a living testament to God's ongoing work. Now you can gain unprecedented access to my father's entire digitized video archive. Every prophetic moment, every powerful teaching, every anointed worship session is now available to you in the Prophecy Vault. This treasure trove of spiritual wisdom and revelation is here for you to explore and be inspired by. But that's just the beginning. We've also enhanced the prophecy database, meticulously updating it with new video content and profound insights. This is more than just a collection. It's a living resource where you can delve into prophecies and see how they align with today's world. Plus, I'm excited to share that my dad's special School of the Prophets teachings are included, offering you deep, transformative lessons on hearing God's voice and understanding his revelations. As part of your membership, you'll also gain access to my prophecy blog, where I break down and analyze my father's prophecies, connecting them to current events. This blog will provide you with exclusive insights and a deeper understanding of how God's word is unfolding right now. And we're offering something truly special: exclusive analysis sessions available only to members of the Prophecy Vault. These sessions will go beyond the surface, providing in-depth exploration of specific prophecies and their implications for today and the future. Your partnership is crucial. Not only will you gain access to these incredible resources, but you'll also help us continue the vital work of preserving, digitizing, and adding new Kim Clement material to the archives. Together, we can ensure that my father's prophetic legacy continues to inspire and guide generations to come. So, I'm inviting you to step into the Kim Clement Prophecy Vault. Let's embark on this journey of revelation together, and I can't wait to see you inside. Hello, everybody. Welcome. We're back again for Code Breakers Live. I have Israel and Chris from the Alpha Vets with me today, and we're going to look at some prophecy. But before we bring them in, I just want to say hi to some of you. I see all of you saying hi in the chat. Canadian living in Illinois. Nice. Fishkill, New York. I didn't even know that existed. Florida. Jackson, Mississippi. Alabama. Welcome, everybody. Now I can't see the... Oh, no, I can. There it is. Australia, welcome. That's lovely to see. I'm too scared to go to Australia because of the spiders and the bugs and the snakes. I'm too scared. Same for India. Hello, everybody. Mississippi, South Carolina, Oregon, New York. Oh, I love it when everybody comes together from all over the place. So how's everybody feeling about Trump's picks so far? The Matt Gaetz is causing some trouble. Everybody's getting all worked up about that for Attorney General. Oh, House of Destiny chat, of course. I see you guys over there. Kelly, Maura, Benita. Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us in the House of Destiny chat. For anybody wondering what the House of Destiny chat part is about, is you can actually go and watch this on the Kim Clement website if you are not on any of these social media sites that we're broadcasting from. Arizona. Kangaroos are naughty too, apparently. I've heard this, but they're so cute. I'm sure they are. Listen, I come from South Africa, and growing up, there's some scary creatures out there as well. When I was a little kid, I mean, really little, I must have been maybe 6 or 7 years old. We used to go and visit my dad's grandmother, my great grandmother, and she had a farm way out in the middle of nowhere in South Africa, and it took hours to get there. There was no towns nearby. There's no street lights, so at night when you turned the lights off, it was pitch dark outside. And there was a lake nearby on their land, and I used to go over there. And the one day it was dried up, and the one day I don't remember the details of it because I was so young. But I was out there by the lake, and I had a stick, and you know when a lake dries up, it cracks, and there's the it's cracks. And I was popping up uh, the 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 dry mud, I guess, and looking underneath, and there were little bugs and things underneath. I was just a kid. I was squatting down and popping them up, and I looked over. I had been alone, and I guess I just sensed it, and I looked over, and there was a giant baboon. I mean, he seemed bigger because I was little, but he was a big one. And baboons are quite aggressive. They're not, well, any wild animal, of course, but especially baboons, more so when they're together in a group, whatever they're called, the males. Anyway, this was a big male, and he was watching me, and I looked over and I realized this giant beast is sitting near me, and so I stood up slowly and backed away until I was further enough away, and then I turned around and ran home. But he never did anything. I think he was interested in what I was doing because I was popping up the dry bits at the bottom of the lake, and there were bugs under there. I'm sure he would have eaten them. So I think he was more interested in what I was doing. And I don't think I was a threat to him. I was a little kid. But I'll never forget that. It scared me. So in South Africa, huge big spiders too. And so this is why I'm hesitant to go to Australia or India. They can't hear you. I know, but I have to talk to them. My sister's trying to talk to me about baboons. Um, no, he did not have a stick strumming. Anyway, welcome everybody. We have a few prophecies I wanted to go through today, so I've brought Israel and Chris from the Alphavets to join me today. And so, Lou, bring them in. You can go ahead and bring them in. There's Israel. There's Chris. Welcome, welcome. So the last time I saw you guys was election night. I joined you on your show,
You did.
and that was a stressful night at first. You remember me just like I just didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what a victory! My dad has a song on his live New York Live album called "Sweet Victory," and I keep playing it all week. It's a really cool song. Anybody who has not heard my dad's New York Live album, I think it's on uh, iTunes. Is it on iTunes, Lou? I think it is. Just search Kim Clement Live in New York. There's part 1 and 2. It is awesome. It's all live. They were writing music live on the spot that night. And there's a song they've done or that they did called Sweet Victory. And man, Charlie with the bass line on that song too. It's an incredible song. And that is how I've been feeling all week. But I know the other thing is I've kind of been feeling, we were talking about this before we went on, is tired. Like today, I'm not a person who naps. I do my sleeping at night. And I fell asleep this afternoon or earlier today for a little while. And I actually woke myself up snoring. I was snoring and it woke me up. So I think there's like, and this is something I keep thinking about asking you guys, because you guys are, you were in the military and kind of, I don't know how much combat you guys dealt with, but it seems to be like this feeling of like we were in a battle and we won and it's over, and it's like everybody was like this, and it's over now and everybody's sort of relaxed, even though maybe we shouldn't be relaxed. I know that, but I know I just feel like a weight lifted when Trump won, and it's just been win 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 all ever since. I'm liking the cabinet picks. I don't know how you guys feel, but
I like them.
you like them?
I like them. I like them.
I like
Yeah,
them a lot.
this is like a dream team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even Speaker Johnson, I don't know if you saw him at the UFC fight last night. Did you see?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to be cool with
Yeah,
everyone.
trying to hang out with the cool
Yeah.
kids.
But even he he came out today and tweeted that or posted that he's supportive of Matt Gaetz. And so it's battle weary. Someone's saying that in the chat. I think that's what it is. It's like a relief, and so it's just made me feel like I could. I don't know. I've been in this for years, especially like the first Trump presidency after 2020. And, it was like my dad prophesied 2 terms, and all these people were like, the false prophet, and that, we lost a lot of people. But I just knew that it was going to happen. And so to see it be such a victory, I expected, even that night, you guys, we were there looking at it, watching the map, and it was like something's going to happen. They're going to do something. And then it was just, it just destroyed them. I mean, everything, House, Senate, obviously the presidency, the popular vote. I mean, America spoke, and it was such a relief. It's some kind of PTSD, spiritual warfare PTSD, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it
Because
is. There's a lot of that. And I think that's a big thing is everybody has this sense of relief, but now that everybody can take a deep breath, I think this is the time to be more vigilant than ever, because I think we're in the Red Sea right now.
You're right.
Yes, we are walking in it, and Pharaoh's gonna
And
come.
Pharaoh's right
chasing
behind
soon.
you.
And that's that sort of anticipate. I think Trey Smith posted that the other day. Like, he posted an image of the Red Sea parting, and like you're right in the middle of it, and he was like, "This is about where we are right now." And I couldn't
You
have
are
agreed
here.
more. We're in the
No,
middle
it's
of the Red
true.
Sea. Well, that's why I wanted to. The prophecies I've chosen to play today are sort of looking at some things I'm concerned about. So one of them is the one from April. I think it was April 2nd, April 1st of 2015, and I have played this prophecy on the Reawaken America tour in relation to the 2020 election. But now that I looked at it, I kept thinking about it. It kept coming to my mind. And so I went and watched it again. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask Israel and Chris what they think about this, because of the concern for assassination attempts. Still, a lot of people, including General Flynn and Roger Stone, are very concerned that they're going to try to do something, because they've been sort of quiet. They've complained.
Creepy quiet.
Like, there's no way these people are just rolling over. And wait a second. And so I want to look at this prophecy again because of Iran. Now, one of the things is they keep saying, now we know the deep state might do something, but we also know that there's repeatedly been reports of Iran involved in assassination attempts that have already happened, and ones that maybe we're not seeing so much, but they keep thwarting. I keep hearing that. And so let's have a look at it now. It's not a long, it's just, okay, so let me set the scene for anybody who doesn't know what was, or maybe have never seen this prophecy. It was April of 2015, so April, May, June, July, August, September, 5 months before he had the first stroke. So this was one of the last prophecies. And he was not actually prophesying, he was praying. The broadcast was almost over, or they were in the middle of it, and he was praying over the offering. And it's not, the beginning part of this is not in the video clip we have, but he's praying over the offering, and then he sees Cain and Abel, and he talks about greed, and then it goes to the part of the video we actually have available today. I need to get the longer version edited out, but play that one. Yeah, King Falling. It's the first one on the list, Lou. Play that, and then let's look at it again. Fresh eyes.
I see a king falling. Oh, I see a king falling. Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Solomon. Lord, you are not pleased. The wall, there's a wall being built that will not be completed for a takeover. Already a plan. Iran, you have wicked plans. Your wickedness cannot be covered. I've seen you, says the Lord. I've already spoken about you. Father, I just pray you'd stop just for a minute.
Okay, so you can see first of all, you can see how upset he is, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not, he's not shouting, he's not angry. He's just, oh no, like he's seeing it. And you can see it. It came on him in the moment. It wasn't while he's worshiping and then prophesying like he would normally do. Like he's doing something else. He's praying over the offering. It's sort of everything's calmed down and it just hits him. And so now I don't think anything's going to be successful against Trump. I still feel that, the wall not being completed because of a takeover, I still feel that's 2020. Because that was a takeover. And so I'm going back and I'm looking, okay, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Solomon. Now, the thing about Solomon is that the Crown Prince Solomon was not the Crown Prince when my dad prophesied this. And
Right.
some people call him Salman, but Trump always calls him Solomon. And that's what got my attention, that caused me, knowing this prophecy, to look at the Crown Prince Solomon, because he became Crown Prince after my dad died. I don't remember exactly when, but he wasn't even supposed to be in line to be Crown Prince. He had other brothers and they died in that plane crash, and he became the Crown Prince. Anybody can correct me if I have the story wrong. It's been a while.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, so we might want to look that up to make sure I'm right about that. But he points to Iran. Now, we're seeing this with Iran trying to take him out. Of course, it's obvious why they would, because the Iran deal is kaput as soon as Trump is back in there. Like, he got rid of it. Then Biden came in. He starts funding Iran again. They have the money for their nuclear program. They have the money to fund Hamas and Hezbollah and all these terrorist organizations, which is why you have October 7th happening. And that's why Trump's always saying, if I were president, this would never have happened, because there would not be an Iran deal and there wouldn't be money to fund these terror organizations so that they could have taken out or have gone through with October 7th. So the reason I'm looking at this, I'm not trying to cause, let me see. Oh, Lou's giving me a note. He was appointed Deputy Crown Prince and Defense Minister after his father became king in 2015, then promoted to Crown Prince in 2017. Okay. So I don't know how much.
That was around the same time when, remember in 2017, Trump went over to Saudi Arabia.
He did.
And they did the sword dance for him.
Yes.
And then right after he left Saudi Arabia, they went into martial law and they arrested like 300 people in their government.
Yep.
I didn't know that. I
Yeah,
didn't know that. I
He
remember
cleaned
them
house.
dancing for him.
almost like Trump went over there and said and pointed out all the bad guys, and then right after he left, they declared martial law and arrested like 300 government officials in Saudi.
Yeah, he went on that world tour at that time, and that's when all your theories started rolling in, that Trump was working with a lot of different countries, because all these countries seemed to be falling in line right after that.
Yeah. And so why Yemen? Where does Yemen fit in? I don't know a lot about Yemen. What's happening with them?
Yep. The only thing I know about Yemen is Yemen has ports that are like in the top 5, if not the top, in human sex trafficking.
Oh,
Mhm.
And that is one of the biggest things for Yemen, is the trafficking into the Middle East has always been through their ports. So there's a lot of iniquity
I
within
did
Yemen.
not know that.
Mhm.
That is a very interesting point. Thank you. Okay. The other thing is he kept going on about Saudi Arabia. My dad did. Saudi Arabia is hiding something. I actually reposted that prophecy on my Rumble not long ago, a few months ago.
There's a lot of interesting things, and I you look at everything as a chess game, look at it as a chessboard, but at the same time, you can have countries fall in line, even if Trump did something to get them fall in line. But within 2 times in his presidency and in the Biden presidency, just like your dad prophesied in 2014, how they would try to give half of Jerusalem away. Well, Saudi Arabia recently said they're not going to, they wouldn't back a ceasefire
I saw that. Yes.
unless they gave half of Jerusalem to the Palestinians.
And that would be a reason.
There does seem to be some betrayal within Saudi. I mean, your dad prophesied a lot about Saudi, and not only said is when he weighs the scales, like there's a great iniquity that comes from Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabia has kind of been I feel like they've been on the fence for a lot of things. I think they play both sides, and that's what it's kind of been, especially with the major attacks on the U.S. dollar, with the doing most of their trading now with
Yes.
Chinese currency instead of the U.S. dollar. So this is everything points to Saudi Arabia kind of in a betrayal state and anti-U.S., which, I mean, why wouldn't you? They persecute more Christians than you realize.
Yeah. And I just recently saw a video of Julian Assange, who at this stage, I think Julian Assange is the other Snowden dad saw. I don't see anyone else who fits that. I'm not sure, but it seems to me like Assange, if you look at everything that happened with him. And I saw a video of him the other day. I posted it on my X page because he was talking about Saudi Arabia funding ISIS and them making it out like, oh, it's just extreme groups. The government doesn't support it, but actually they did. And so that was very interesting to me too, because that was revealed in the Hillary Clinton emails about Saudi Arabia, again, not openly doing things, sort of things being underhanded, like smile at your face, but they're doing stuff.
They're two-faced.
We know that they're doing that, but it's interesting to me that he saw that, and then he sees Iran, because those are opposing, one's Sunni and one's Shia. As far as Islam is concerned, the split in Islam was the Sunnis and the Shias. Am I right with that? Am I remembering correctly here? And the Saudis are not. The Saudis are Sunni and the Iranians are Shia. And I know that they want, for instance, the Shia, I think it's Shia Muslims, are the ones who want the great Imam to return. Like the Saudi Arabians aren't so keen on it because when he returns, they're supposed to hand over all their wealth to him and give everything over. And so this is something Christy from our Israel Update channel has sort of educated me on over the years, is that the Saudis aren't so keen on that as much as the Shias are, because they tend to be in more impoverished areas and not having as much. They don't have as much to lose. And so I'm looking at this like, okay, why is he seeing Saudi Arabia and Iran? And I don't know if we'll find the answer today, but I think it's worthy of note.
No, but I mean, Iran itself, you can look at the deep state hubs that are controlled throughout, well, the world. Iran, they've had that deep state hub in there for a while, but I mean, obviously the other big one is in Ukraine.
Mm.
They've had a lot of deep state hubs between those two. That's why they continuously fund them, because those are their two largest ports, or I would say hubs where they can operate out of. So if you're constantly seeing Iran with threats to the presidency and everything like that, it's more than likely coming from the deep state hubs, which is funded by our 3-letter agencies.
Right. Remember, your dad also has a prophecy where he says, and God says, I will remove the hand of America out of Iran. Because I think Iran has been a proxy of our 3-letter agencies.
Yes, like Ukraine is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Very interesting.
So when they say Iran wants to take out President Trump, I don't think it's Iran. I think it's our intelligence apparatus trying to take.
They're holding all these countries hostage.
Yep.
Iran has been painted as the big bad guy. And they're like your dad even said, the church in Iran and the church in China are greater than any church in the West. And so we got to think of all the good people that have been suffering within Iran and even in China. That's why, you see people out here, these very aggressive accounts that are calling to glass each country. And
no, we don't.
It's like absolutely not. Like, why would you can't just torch all these good people because there are a lot of good people inside these countries. So they've been held hostage for a long time.
Well, that's very true. Again, we're not talking about the citizens of these countries. We're talking about the leaders, because the Iranian regime that's been in control, they're obviously in cahoots with the deep state in our country. And then, you could say the same, for us in America. I mean, certainly Biden and these people don't represent Americans, and just the way the Iranian regime does not represent all the Iranian people, or China for that matter. And I've actually learned a lot recently about the underground church in China, the way it works and stuff. And Dad had prophesied about it, but I've actually talked to people and learned how they function and what they do to be able to meet and just to get a Bible. So that's a good point. My sister has come over, so let's hear her.
No, somebody just said that Biden just approved projectile missiles for the Ukraine.
I saw that this morning
on the Russia.
Yes,
I don't know how that.
Well, people are saying that they're going to try to instigate World War III before Trump gets in.
Yes.
Am I impressed with your weapons of war? Ha! I laugh at you.
Well, then that's a good segue into the next prophecy I have ready for today. Lou, the Give Us Blood. This is in August of 2013, and this is where he addresses World War III. And I love this answer to this question. But you can play it, Lou.
The nations are itching. The nations are hungry for war. The nations are crying for war. Give us blood, they say. We want blood. Have you not had enough blood, says the Spirit of God? Blood from children. And what has happened to my shepherds throughout the earth? As Ezekiel saw it, as Jeremiah saw it, and as Christ saw it, the shepherds have scattered. Where are the shepherds? They have run from the intimidating force that says, give me a man. As Goliath stood, they stand and they prod. Barack Obama, come and give us a man. that we may fight and show you our strength. But the Spirit of the Lord says, I have young men and women, 16 years, 17 years old, 22, 25, like David, and they do not want to hide under the armor of Saul. God says there is a new way, and yet it is an old way. I have a stone for this generation. I have the stone for this generation. That stone is my son. That stone is the rock, Christ Jesus. And that stone shall be given to the Davids of this generation. And they shall bring down the force of hell that is crying from Russia, from Syria, from Iran, from all over the world. Crying, give us blood, give us blood, give us blood, give us blood. But the Spirit says, no, there shall be no world war yet. For I am yet to show you the manifestation of a rock in the hand of a generation that shall bring down the voice of hell. This is my will. Look for it, for it is coming, says the Spirit of God.
Oh, that's powerful. That is a powerful prophecy. I've got chills. That's pretty accurate for our moment we're in right now, I would say. You have these different nations crying, give us blood. And the response is, there will be no world war yet, because you are yet to see the manifestation of a rock in the hand of a generation, like King David. So there's that
Right.
King David theme again, and the rock being Christ Jesus.
Right, and that kind of goes into a lot of different other prophecies, especially for this time. I mean, if you look at the Hypnotic November vision, the November 1st, 2014 one, when he says, not only is he going to show up immediately, which he did, we got us through the door, he parted the sea, but now we're in the sea. But he said there's going to be this lulling, and he said he's going to put him to sleep so he can pull out the beauty of the bride. And so, as you can see, things are pretty quiet right now. It seems like everything is kind of falling asleep. It feels like everybody's comfy, and
Just
everybody's just like
saying that, I
hanging
fell
around.
asleep today.
Right. So we're in this like period of like, what's going to happen next? And then you see that they're with the whole missiles thing in Ukraine. You got this stuff going on with Iran. But not only that, what does he say in there? He says, I have a stone for this generation. He's talking about Jesus, so the rock Christ Jesus. And in the Hypnotic November vision, he says, fear will come upon the land.
Yes, he does.
And the people will say, we need to look to the Lord.
Yes.
So if we're looking to the Lord and he has a stone, that rock Christ Jesus, it looks like something, just like Chris said earlier, am I impressed with the strength of your men's legs? That's what you said, right, Chris?
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Your weapons of war, yeah. Your
weapons of war, and then the strength of your men's legs. So it looks like there's this fear coming, and those that aren't paying attention and finding their solitude within Christ himself, they're going to be looking for him. I mean, we should be looking for him no matter what, because he's the only one that can bring anything forth. Just like your dad has stated, if my people act accordingly. Yeah. I don't take anything for certain. I know he's speaking from God's heart, but free will always gets in the way. And certain things don't necessarily come to pass. So it's, if we're really going towards what Jesus wants, I think he's really going to open this up, but he's also going to trap them. And I think it may even go deeper than just a potential for a World War III start. As we said, like we're in the Red Sea, but if we understand that we're in a fiat system right now, right? We just hit 36 trillion in debt, which your dad also prophesied about in the February 22nd, 2014 prophecy. And he also said in that one, he was going to hold up a stone. Yes. And like, I don't really, I know everybody's kind of got their different, and I'm not saying anybody's wrong or I'm right, but I've never thought of the BRICS nations as the brothers of Goliath. Then the only reason why I say that is because it looked like they were attacking the dollar for so long. And Trump always stated that we're going to level the playing field, while all these central banks were hoarding gold and precious metals at mass amounts. But soon as Trump won the election, some of these BRICS leaders, including Putin, are like, "Hey, Trump, all right, we'll get in line.
I
We'll get
saw
in
that.
line."
Yes.
And so what would be what did they do during COVID? What they do during COVID, they used COVID as a cover up and crashed the economy. The economy didn't crash because of COVID. They crashed it to try and hurt Trump. But what did Trump do? He used their magic wand, and in that fiat system, he turned it into a V-shaped recovery. But what he can't do again is print $7 trillion. So if the playbook is known and you want to really try and go after Trump, you could do this World War III stuff at the same time, but you could also crash the economy. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but what would he do? What's the quickest way to introduce a new system is to hold up a simple stone and introduce a backing of precious metals in the system, because they've already laughed at him before. He did say in 2017 that make the world great again and back the dollar with gold. So I think
You
they're
have
gonna
that
try and do
theme
a
of
couple ways.
gold with Dad's prophecies about Trump.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You've seen gold attached to his name throughout February 22nd, 2014, throughout that prophecy, but not just there. He keeps seeing the gold. So that is a really good point, because yes, it did seem like the BRICS were, well, I never saw the BRICS as being the only giants. Like, as over the years, it's been like, well, the media, the deep state, like there were multiple giants saying we'll cripple you, you lose your credit. And then you've got the central banking system that is now challenged by
Mhm.
new digital system,
Yeah.
the
Well,
digital currencies.
gold is the one thing that brings everybody down, because if you go back, don't even take into account really the Bretton Woods agreement, gold was the one thing that leveled the playing field across the world. And then what did we do? They bamboozled us. They took the gold away, and then they started printing money out of thin air. And then they one-upped, and the United States forced the world to trade in money that is printed out of thin air. So no wonder the world is mad at the United States, because we have caused a lot of countries to go into poverty because we're forcing them to use fake money, which then dilutes their currency in their country. So gold, if I want to bring the world back together and bring sovereignty back to nations, gold is the one that levels the playing field for everybody. I'm reading a book right now called Good as Gold by Judy Shelton, who Trump tried to put in as a Fed governor. And of course, the deep state went crazy and made up all kinds of smear campaigns about her. But gold is the one that levels the playing field and brings back not just a level playing field across the world, it brings back accountability to governments, because when you have your currency backed by something that's an actual commodity like gold and silver, then your governments can't print money out of thin air.
Exactly. And you have
Cuts
to have
the
it
head off the
backed by
snake.
something.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just, like you're saying, you can't just print money in a pretend, because look how much debt we're in. Look at the Pentagon not being
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to, I mean, that is outrageous. That they
Unreal. It's
cannot
unreal.
account for all of that money. And then it's like, well, what are you doing with it? And how, if I were to do that and then the IRS audit me and I've lost that much, I would be in jail. And so then again, you have this accountability issue. But we are kind of in the middle of that right now, that the struggle about to go into Trump's presidency, because he's wanting to he's got this dream team of people coming in
Mhm.
that are going to deal with that deep state issue, and this is one of them. There's so many different little things. We've looked at Ukraine, we've looked at Iran and what's going on with that, and then obviously this. And so I don't know, this is very
It
interesting.
it is And so like even Vivek, he came out, and him and Elon are leading this team of government efficiency, right?
Mhm.
And he just came out today and stated that some of these three-letter agencies are going to disappear.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, and you've already seen Elon talk about getting Ron Paul to come up and help him. Well, Ron Paul, he's been trying to take out the Fed for a long time.
Mhm.
And the Fed, if we go back to 2018, 2019, but people still to this day don't want to talk about it. But Yahoo had a good article about how Trump basically merged the Fed into the Treasury. And I think there's more that's happened behind the scenes than they have led on to believe. But if you take down fiat, you cut the head off the snake. And even in Joshua, it states, all the silver and the gold shall be put into the treasury of the Lord. So if we're going into righteous ruling, and you've seen all these central banks continuously stack and hoard gold and precious metal reserves, people got to understand that for thousands of years, gold and precious metals have held up. It's only until they start coin clipping like they did in the Roman Empire, where they start coin clipping and then putting in different metals. The same things happened to our currency. Our currency used to be actually have precious metal like purity within it, and now it's all garbage metal. So we
True.
have lost, and that's one of the four things that led to the fall of the Roman Empire was
Yep.
the unstable economy, because they were messing with the currency. And this today, you can look at shrinkflation. This is basically the same concept as coin clipping, and this is what it's led us to. I mean, we look at the Fed. The Fed is not constitutional,
Right.
and income tax was only supposed to be for a couple weeks. And look how long that's stuck. And now Trump has been working his way up. I think he's building this ladder he's going to be taking out a lot of taxes. He's got like 3 presented right now, but I think he's building up to basically getting rid of everything. And this government efficiency seems to going to be doing the same thing. I think the Fed and the IRS disappear, and pretty fast. And I think we are going to have accountability within our system once again.
That's kind of exciting. Like, how's that going to look? Because I've never lived, like as an adult, paying attention to those things. None of us have lived in a world like that. Like income tax has been there for as long as we've been alive. These are things that have been there for so long. The thought of them not being there, again, that's a relief. That's like another relieving feeling. I keep getting that feeling. Now, I've seen, so gold's gone down a little bit now, hasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen the market go up. We've seen Bitcoin's just flying, and gold's going down, which my husband said that always happens. And
Yep.
so I was saying, well, maybe we should buy some gold now on the
Well,
low.
What you have, if you look, you have a lot of people selling their metals because everybody thinks, well, Trump's back in, so the dollar's going to keep plugging along the status quo, right? Again, we've never known a life outside of what is going on currently, where they just print money out of thin air. None of us were alive in 1913 or back. We weren't there. So none of us know what life was like in the 1800s when we had, like Trump said, when William McKinley was president, where our country had so much money, they had to convene a board of people to figure out how to spend it all. So you have people selling what I think is happening because they coincide. You have the largest amount of gold and silver sold since October of last year, because everybody's selling gold and silver and jumping into crypto.
Huh.
And I just, I have nothing against crypto at all. I think it's going to play a major role moving forward. But to me, gold and silver is God's money. God put it here for a reason. And I think at the end of the day, whatever we have, it will be backed by gold and silver.
And there's only one thing that is universally traded,
right?
And that would be gold.
And that's gold. That's true. Yes.
It's the only tier 1 asset.
So interesting
in the entire world.
It goes back to Dad seeing the gold with Trump. And just the fact that Trump always puts his name in gold and covers everything in gold. It's like a little sign, like a gold good.
Yeah.
I had to ask you guys that question because I'd been thinking about that since the other day. Because my husband, I don't understand any of this stuff really. I listen to him, and he's just been telling me
Petrol.
Yeah.
what's going on. So that
Well,
is
Donnie, not to cut. I think crypto, I think Bitcoin, XRP, I think all of these challenging the dollar is a good thing
mm,
because the dollar is fake. Our money is fake.
yeah,
So anything that challenges it, I'm gonna cheer it on because we cannot keep going on with the status quo. We just
Yeah.
cannot do it. I don't want to live like this anymore. I don't want to borrow fake money from somebody and then they charge me interest on fake money that they literally printed out of thin air. So
That they can't
anything
find.
that challenges the dollar, I'm sitting here cheering it on like, let's go, because it's got to go. The current system we are in, and that's why, your dad said in his prophecy, God says, watch how I change everything, right? That includes our money.
Yeah.
Because the evil ones have used this system to work against us. So obviously I want to let's drop a grenade on it and blow
Right.
it up. I'm done.
Yes, no, that's it's very true. And oh, there was something I was going to say to you about that right now, and I've gotten distracted. Yeah, because if you look at the assassination prophecy, where he talks about Kennedy in Chicago, he
Mhm.
directly addresses an evil plan to steal via the taxes of the people, and that God would use the Kennedys and join the hands of Republicans and Democrats in an unusual way. Play that one, Bally. Have you got that one? I know his name is Lou. I've called him Bally since we were little kids in South Africa growing up together. And most Americans can't even pronounce it, Bally. The video number is, I think it's 9. He's asking me on the chat thing. Yeah, it's video 9, Assassination Kennedy 2009. It should be Chicago, Illinois. It was Chicago, Illinois. And also almost
And God said, you are opening up a door in the heavens. Hear me, not only the state, but hear me, this nation. The three enemies that are inside will endeavor to assassinate, will endeavor to cripple, and will endeavor to steal via the taxes of the people. But there is a wicked system that is being concocted, that is being put together to take from your hand what is unnecessary. I will cripple it, says the Lord. And I will take lawmakers from the Midwest, lawmakers from the Northeast, for what has happened with the Kennedys, says the Spirit of God, was spoken of. Now I will join hands between Democrats and Republicans and do an unusual thing, says the Spirit of God. Come on! They will say what they tried to increase, now they are decreasing. And God says it shall be a sign. But even now that the Kennedys have come to this place, I spoke about it, that there would be a massive outbreaking and outpouring in the system, in this nation, the political system. The three enemies that shall rise up and already on their way. I will take them, I will set ambushments against them, they will confound themselves, and this nation shall rise above the occasion and come to oneness with God, says the Lord. Come on!
So there's actually a lot there.
There's a lot there.
I didn't even find this until Kennedy announced, and I searched Kennedy and I found that. And it was difficult to find in our database too, not the prophecy database, but our database of videos. And you can see that's an old video. Someone had a camera in the church.
Mhm.
And so he sees, again, every time with these assassination prophecies, he's seeing 3 enemies, 3 inside. He says this, 3 enemies on the inside. And I'm not sure what to think of that, but I can't help but notice it because the assassination prophecies are all different years, 2004, 2005, I think, and then 2009. we have him prophesying about an assassination attempt, more than one. And he keeps saying three. Three will bring three. There's one who will attempt to bring three in. He's seeing it inside. And then, of course, a wicked system. And that's the system we've just been talking about.
Right. Yep.
Now, what I do know that I can't play, that I don't have to play today because he did it so much, is for years and years, all the way to his very last broadcast, he was prophesying about death to debt. And he was so adamant about it that he even had my husband, my husband's an artist, had him drawing like death to debt, writing death to debt and make it, I don't know what he wanted to do with it, if he was putting it on a t-shirt or what he was doing, I can't remember. But he kept having my husband draw it, and he kept prophesying about death to debt, death to debt. And it's connected with a new energy, the big E, something that will be discovered that's in the earth, or that the earth will yield of its produce as a result of earthquakes and eruptions in particular. And that's in, let's play, we need to, don't start it just yet, but get ready, the season's prophecy, because he talks about it in there too. And so we know ultimately there's going to be a death to debt. Well, how are we going to have a death to debt? At this stage, that looks so great, like impossible, because our debt is in the trillions, which is a number unimaginable.
Right. But we've also been in bondage for all these years. So they have suppressed us of what our capabilities are, what the assets we actually have in this nation. And so, you can talk about drill, baby, drill. You can talk about a new source of energy. Like your dad talked about with, he's seen how you're in your car and you got 5 different options or something like that, right?
See that.
But what's interesting is the 2005 prophecy, when he prophesies about the Big E, he's also at the same time, he says, watch gold.
He does.
So it seems like they might be around the same time. And
yes, that is a good point.
All these assets start getting unveiled at like around the same time. And I think people are going to realize that, wow, we could actually wipe out our debt. Like, I think people need to wrap their minds around how much more easy it is than we realize. We can't do it in a fiat system though, because they print. So it's.
Yes. And that is the wicked system, I'm thinking. Well, part of it.
Right.
That he's seeing there. Because, and a plan to steal via the taxes of the people. We obviously know what that is, because now we've just been talking about the income tax and what Trump wants to do, and getting rid of all of these. Because we are definitely just, I lived in California, so I know, because I lived in California and then moved to Tennessee. And living in California, the taxes are outrageous. Everything is outrageous. To register your car, this is now, I haven't lived there for 5 years. 5 years ago, it was $700 a year to register your car. I had a regular car. I had a little GMC SUV, mom car. And it was $700 for the one car. Not my husband's also got a car. So think how much money you're having to spend just to register your car. There's not even taxes. Just to register your car.
That's through their money laundering climate stuff.
Yes. And but again, people have been saying in the chat is Dad saw in particular about California with the gold and what God was going to do in California. And actually, I wish there was a way I could pull that one up. It was, Lou, if you go into my YouTube channel, the video that, when you go onto your main YouTube page, whatever video plays, I have that video playing. Can I pull it up, Lou? My YouTube channel?
Come on, Lou.
Can I switch out he might have to come here. Give him a second. I'd love to play that because he's prophesying about California. And he says now, because he's talking about the Jesus revolution and how there was a revolution in California. And he says, now I choose you south. I want to see that one again because I'm just thinking if you just go to my YouTube channel and share it, it's the first. It's that main video. Yeah, he's got it. He's gonna take care of us. He always does.
Lou to save the day.
Always. I think it's worthy to, because there is this California thing now. And, the one time he prophesied, they'll say, yes, but that's the hellhole of America. And God says, I don't care what it is.
Right.
gonna
It's
go
definitely the most.
to the
It's definitely in the top 2 most corrupt states in the entire country. That is for sure.
Between them and New York.
And don't forget Illinois too.
I
Illinois is up
know,
there too.
yes. Why is it not showing? Home. Go home.
Yeah, Illinois is bad.
Where is
Mainly Chicago and Illinois.
Mainly
That's the-
Chicago.
That's yeah. And New York, really, you take away the cities. New York is a red state too.
Dude, that's everywhere. It's hive minds, man. Hive minds.
Yeah.
It's dang cities.
cities? Yeah, it's the big cities. That's right.
Yeah.
Let me just see if I go to my page here.
Hey, Don A.
Yes.
That first, what's great? That first prophecy that you played where your dad was in Camarillo. I used to live there when I
You
was
did?
a kid. Yeah. Yeah.
So we lived there for years.
I went to Las Postas Elementary
You
School.
did?
Yeah.
His friend, Julie went to Las Vegas.
Julie went to Las Posas. My other sister, Libby's friend, went to Las
Yeah.
Posas.
Yeah. I lived
So
in
we had
big housing
years-
there.
Years in California. I don't know
Mhm.
what's
Left
happened
out.
to View Channel.
He said I
There
felt
it is.
left
Why is
out.
it not showing? Can I send it? Yeah, let me email it to this. I'll do that. Wonder why it's not showing. Well, we won't worry about that now. We'll figure it out later.
I guess I'm moving to California.
Briefly.
Well, that's why a lot of our
Briefly,
friends
just
in
for a little bit.
California are just sticking around because they know eventually they'll get there. This one.
Yeah, I saw a family there too. They live right there by Venice Beach, right by Culver in
Started
Culver
over.
City.
That's the one we want to see. Because he saw about gold and the stone and California. And I
Mhm.
think even the next
Small
president
stature.
after Trump may be coming
Smaller
from there
stature,
or
yeah.
Florida. Oh, that's huge. All kinds of
Yeah,
things
yeah,
happening
yeah.
on the screen. You guys
Yes,
can't
remember
see it, but I can.
was it like the Latino president he seen?
Yes, a
Yeah.
small man of a smaller stature, and they'll say this man is not speaking enough. There it is, Lou. Okay, let's rewind to the beginning. So it's very short, so let's see it. Wait, I'm gonna move this. Hang on, I gotta just adjust a few things here so I can do this. It's upside down. That's why. Okay. Got it.
This region has been thirsty and crying out for a revelation of God. For it was in the northern parts of California that I brought forth a movement, the Jesus movement. And God says, now, I choose you south. I wish to reveal myself in a way that I have never done before, says the Lord. New force, a new, innovative, creative church that will rush through the cities. They will take the marketplace by storm. Watch and see. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord.
Something happened in this garden that triggered a word. What happened in the 60s and the 70s in California with this Jesus movement, I've already prophesied this, but he said this is the time for that major revolution. Now is the time.
There's a letter. Time has been transformed and we have changed. It has advanced and set us in motion. It has unveiled its face, inspiring us with bewilderment and
5 words
inspiration.
you pronounce wrong.
Now that, Lou, how do we unshare that? There we go. That letter at the end is actually the last birthday card my dad ever wrote me. and that's
Oh
what I
wow.
put on the card. Nobody knows that, but I just threw it in at the end of that video. I put that's been my on my YouTube channel since I started using it, 7, 8 years ago now, and I don't know why I did that, but I added that. That was the last birthday card he ever wrote me. That's what he wrote in it. And so there's something about California, and I think we need to be looking there because he kept bringing it up, and he lived there. He specifically moved there after Hurricane Katrina time. So that was what, 2005, 6 is when he came. I had just rented a house and signed a lease for a year to live 1 minute away from him. And he came to see the house. And he sat down and had to gently tell me, I'm moving. And I was like, what do you mean? I've just rented this house. And he laughed. He said, I'm sorry. God's told me I got to go. I'm going to California. And so I ended up staying there for a year because they couldn't sell their house that they had in Texas, and it was a whole thing. So it was a good thing I was there because I was able to take care of their house after they moved, and then they were able to sell it. And then I moved a year later to California and joined them there. But because we were in Texas, we were living outside of Dallas. And so I always look at where Dad was too. Like he was in Maricopa County when he prophesied 2 terms.
Right. Right.
Where he had the whole boots on the ground thing, so that always means something. So where he lived meant something. We were in South Africa, and it's interesting to me that Elon Musk being South African, I don't know what it is, but there's something about that because his brother actually has the same name as my dad. My dad's given name was not Kim, it was Kimball, after the piano. But they made fun of him at school, and he hated it. And so he legally changed his name at some point when he got older and just made it Kim. But his mother named him after the piano maker, Kimball Piano Makers, which was very prophetic of his mother.
Yeah,
She's
absolutely.
something else. She is something else. There's nobody like her. She's a very unique person. My grandfather, was a very timid man, quiet, sort of nervous person, kind of a fearful person, not like my dad at all. So that boldness that he gets in his, that he had in his personality came from his mother, for sure, because she's very outspoken, very blunt, sort
Sounds
of
like Kim.
like him. But he had just enough of his dad that it softened his heart, because she wasn't as soft-hearted. My dad was very soft-hearted person. And it's interesting about his family too, because I can't find the Clement. When you do ancestry and you go back and you look at the genealogy, and this all on his mom's side, they were German farmers who moved in the 1800s to South Africa and farmed sheep. That's who his mom's side were. But his dad's side, the Clements, who are French, I can't find anything aside from my grandfather's parents or my great grandparents on dad's side, and I've never been able to. It cuts off. There's no records. There's no information. I don't know who they were, where the Clements came from. It's always been very interesting. I've tried to ask family. They have so much when you do the family tree on his mother's side, but it just cuts off on his dad's side. And so it's just interesting when you look at, if you know the family, then you can see, especially his brothers and sisters too, and the musical ability that was in because all his brothers and sisters were incredible musicians. All 4 kids that they had.
Oh,
So
wow.
my Aunt Shelley, his sister, she's still alive. I think she's living in Massachusetts now. She's still in Massachusetts, and she sings. She's tiny little thing. She's not very tall. She's very beautiful. And she just has the most beautiful singing voice. And her and my dad used to sing together growing up. And then my uncle David, who lives in Cape Town right now, he played the guitar. And then Dad had an older brother, Barry, who died young, and he played the trumpet and saxophone, and he was incredible. So him and my dad used to, when they were young. They were like young, like 12, 13 years old, and they were such incredible musicians that they were performing live all over South Africa. And my dad would like play the piano with his toes, and Barry would be playing two trumpets at once. Like they were amazing. And I wish there's no recordings of it because this was the late '60s, so there's nobody has any recordings of it. Um, but that's just some family history that came to me while I was sitting here thinking about it. But they were
Hmm.
all musical, but I don't know anything, can't find anything about where the Clement people come from except that they're French, and I know that because of I I wish I hadn't done this, but I did the thing where you do the saliva in the thing and you send in to see what your genetics are. I did that years ago, although I regret it now because now they have my DNA. But
Yep.
my sister was like, "Well, because now they have mine too because we're related." But um, I I saw that it was French, but that's all I could see, and so
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
Brian, not that I
Yeah,
remember
hopefully they don't
the
clone you.
database.
Hope they don't what? Clone
So
who?
hopefully they don't clone you.
I don't remember him prophesying about a white African lion, no. Yeah, Elon is South African, but the reason I brought up my dad's name was because Elon Musk's brother is named Kimball.
Hmm.
And that's an unusual thing to name your kid. Maybe
Yeah,
it's a
that
South
is.
African thing, and I just didn't know. But there's just these strange little connections along the way as we look at these characters, for instance, that Trump has around him. And I know, like, a lot of people are concerned, including Clay Clark, about Elon Musk with the Neuralink and the chip and all that stuff. But what I do know is that in my dad's prophecies, he didn't really see anything about Elon Musk, but he did send Sunil during Code Breakers to the first Tesla offices in San Francisco and had Sunil actually reporting from there. I need to go back and look at that broadcast because I just thought about it last night. I need to actually go find it and watch it again and see what he was saying. Because in the 2027 prophecy, he saw healings for brain injuries like Alzheimer's and autism,
Hmm.
cancers. And
Hmm.
I'm sure you guys have seen that prophecy, and he actually breaks down crying and says, "I hope I live to see it."
Mhm.
Right.
And so, I'm one who I'm just going to keep praying for Elon Musk that God will, reveal Himself to him. Maybe if he understands. I mean, it may be a long shot, but maybe if he understands the areas he's delving into, that he's cautious. I don't know.
Right. There is a lot of interesting things around. All I tell people is I don't think anybody should trust anybody just straight up. I
Right.
think everybody should do their own due diligence. But even in like Romans 13, it talks about how God raises people into authority, whether it's good or bad. It is up to the people to pray and pray for their enemies. God sees that. God will remove corruption. This is why this nation went through what it did, because we weren't praying as a nation. So
Right.
we had to be baptized through fire. And this is what we've gone through the last 4 years. And now it's up to the people. Are we gonna wake up? But I think Elon Musk is being raised up for a season, and we need to continue to pray for him, and hopefully that he either gets saved on the road or something along those lines. But I don't think anybody should put their full trust in someone, because I think he's going to do good things, but he could very well be a person who helps usher in the mark of the beast, for all I know.
Right. I mean, he already is kind of, but maybe he's not, maybe it's like, where are we on that timeline?
Right.
Where we thought we were, we may not be quite there
Yeah.
yet. So maybe he's part of the system that will eventually do that. But he is putting chips in people, and that's concerning, and
It
a
is.
legitimate concern. But if he understood, man, I wish somebody would let me talk to Elon Musk.
Let me sit
We're
down.
both
with
South
him.
Africans. I
talk to
would
him.
totally have this. I would just be like, listen, bro, you need to understand, like, whether you believe it or not, like, people do. And there's a lot to this. Like, if you could just lay it out to him, maybe he could, I don't know, rein it. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just thinking aloud now. No, really, I'm just thinking aloud. But I like to do it like this because I can hear from, like, in the chat too. A lot of people are saying, Dad saw Damascus Road conversions. Like, what if he looked in and found God? Like, how beautiful
Yeah.
would that be?
I think
Absolutely. It'd
he's
be
so
huge.
close.
Be a huge
Dane. I
asset.
really do. I think he is so close. So close.
Because all through this, the people he's surrounded himself with now are Christians.
Mhm.
And like you said, you don't trust anyone. I agree with you 100% on that, because people can change. Anything can happen to someone and they can just go off the handle. You just never know. And your trust should be number one in God. And that's the bottom line.
Yes.
But I also feel like we shouldn't make an enemy of him.
Right.
Look how much he's helped. And again, my dad didn't see. Surely my dad, he shouted and shouted about Putin. Surely he would have been shouting about Elon. How? He's not going to listen to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would love to, if I could talk to any of those people. You know what? The one thing is, if I could talk to any of those people, it would be Trump. And I
There you
still
go.
have never met Trump. Like, everybody's meeting him. I'm looking online and, like, everybody's at Mar-a-Lago. Everybody's hanging out with Trump. And I'm like, can I just get a picture? I
Yeah.
don't want anything from
Everybody's
him.
partying at Mar-a-Lago. I'm over here reading.
I
I'm like,
know, right? You're left out. It's like, hey, my dad prophesied so much. You'd think I might be able to get a picture, but that hasn't happened yet. Look, it was whatever God wants. I'm fine.
It's gonna happen, Dane.
But you know what?
It's gonna happen.
If I could actually choose, maybe I would talk to Elon over Trump. 'Cause Trump knows
I'll
what
call
he's
him.
doing. He's
I'll
good.
set up a time.
Okay. Because I'm sure, not even me, like my mom. Like, get my mom to sit, another South African, to sit down and explain to Elon Musk the eschatology and the prophets, because he knows the Bible. Like, if he were to just understand what that is, maybe it would help.
Mhm.
That's what we should pray
Right.
for. We should pray for all of these people on this team that Trump has together. Every single one of them, we need to pray for them, because what we desire is for them to be successful, because that's going to be good for all of us and for the whole world. Countries like Iran and China, even Russia. And the one other thing, we're running out of time, so I'm going to have to go. But the one other thing is, with Russia, though, is that he did, like, I know Putin is doing whatever Putin's doing, but I also know what Dad prophesied, and I've never seen him shout about a person and get angry the
Right.
way he did. And my dad wasn't angry with Putin. He didn't have anything against him, but when he prophesied about it, God was angry. I've hardened your heart, King Putin.
And that may be another person that may, just like we were talking about with like Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
that might be another person who may go rogue.
I've said that
Russia-
before. Like,
Russia's been bullied by the U.S. for a long time.
Yeah.
So everything is blamed
and
on
look,
Russia.
everything
So-
that's going on with Russia right now, I understand why Putin has reacted that way. It's because they poked the bear over and
Yeah,
over. It's like there was an agreement, the whole existence of NATO, the whole thing. And the agreement was, we're not going to cross this line. And now they're almost like trying to force it.
and maybe he snaps.
Because why would you want to put, expand NATO if you know that border is going to be a problem for Russia, and we have an agreement? Like, let's just chill on that. Like, there's no reason to poke the bear, and they have deliberately done that. And so, when you see Putin's behavior, there's a lot of things I'm sure we don't know, because my dad prophesied on the first time he ever wore the mantle, on April 4th of 2009. He prophesied about Putin, and he said that the webs that he's woven, that he'd woven all these webs like a spider web, is what he was seeing. And he said it would take a servant's broom to sweep away the webs that he'd woven, something like that. I'm not doing it verbatim. And that he would die by the sword in his own land. and that he would turn around and go back, like he would have been attacking Ukraine and would turn around and go back and then die by the sword in his own land. And then later, Dad has a vision about Russia, but it's not Putin this time. Now he's seeing Russia. And he's seeing Russia. It was one of those From the Gardens where he wasn't on the broadcast. He was in his prayer garden, and then he Skyped into the broadcast, and he was telling people
Cataclysmic one.
yeah, and he saw the hand of Russia reaching to shake with the hand of America. And that as soon as America took their hand, there was an instant betrayal and a decapitation. And so, but these are things I think are coming in the future, and it may not be Putin being the leader anymore. There might be someone else.
It could be, and it could be, and it could be also maybe within Trump's next term sometime.
Yeah.
Like, maybe because it seems to us clearly that Putin has gotten along with Trump pretty
Yeah.
well. And as long as Trump's there, it doesn't seem like Putin's going to cause any trouble. But
No, he doesn't.
maybe that's just the reason why he has a spirit of betrayal within him,
Yeah.
because he is not being looked at from Trump's point of view.
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
maybe, we don't know what is going to be coming. Everything may be agreeable now, but one thing, I prayed about this a lot. I've really agonized over the Putin stuff. And God's answer to me was, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And so right now, the deep state and like the globalists are the enemy. But once that is overcome, what then? Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Russia and America have, we know that history. So they haven't been friends. But now it seems like there's we agree that we don't want the globalists and we don't want all this nonsense that these crooks have been doing. So that gets taken care of. Then what is going to happen afterwards? And I think we're looking at like further into the future than the situation we're in now. And so that's why these prophecies, it's like, it doesn't end with Trump becoming president, as far as my dad's prophecies are concerned, because there's a lot of stuff that he saw that, and what I've learned is that when it doesn't make sense, just like Iran, you have wicked plans. I see a king falling, all that. Years ago when I first was looking at that prophecy again and posting it, so many things didn't make sense to me. And then after time passes, then things begin to make sense when you can look back. And so I feel like that's what's going to happen in this case.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, even the main ones that are played a lot, like the February 22nd or the
February
seasonal
22nd
ones,
is a lot. Yeah.
you can still go back to those. Like I've probably seen those thousands of
Right.
times, and it's like you still go back to them and you're like, that kind of
I
makes
missed
more
that.
sense
Yeah, or I missed something that I
now
didn't
because
catch
we're in
the
the
first
future.
time.
Yes.
Yep.
And now or that part that didn't make sense that I kept
Yeah.
skipping over because this part makes sense in this part. So I can look at those, but this in the middle, I don't understand it. It's gonna make sense. That's what I've learned. It will make sense later. And so, I know I've kind of brought up some heavy, we're talking Putin. I call him Pooty Poo. Pooty Poo and his pew pews. I call him that because of Glenn Beck. Glenn Beck did that. He makes me. I watch Glenn Beck
That's
every
funny.
morning. He makes
I
me
like
laugh.
Glenn Beck. He's good. He's
No,
good.
he's so dramatic. He's just so entertaining. And
Yeah.
he did not support Trump the first round, but he definitely does now. He loves him now, and that's happened to a lot of people. Glenn Beck.
Seems like that's happening to a lot of people right now.
But Glenn understands this very well about Putin. And something else that God told me, and I texted it to General Flynn. This is now when I first met him, was Alexander Dugin is Putin's Rasputin. You guys know who Rasputin was? Rasputin was the prophet that was with the last czars of Russia. And their son was sick, and he was a Christian sort of, but I don't know, it's kind of weird. Yeah, but he helped them with their son who was sick, the czars of Russia, the ones that got killed later, the ones that, remember, they got shot and the bodies disappeared and they found them later. And those were the last czars of Russia. And Rasputin was like their holy man. He was like their prophet, and he was hanging around with the family, and he was there all the time. And Alexander Dugin has a very crooked interpretation of biblical eschatology. He's a very smart man, very well spoken, and there's a lot of things he says that I understand and agree with. But he has this idea, and Glenn Beck is the one that actually laid this. I was so glad to see Glenn Beck covering it because nobody else is talking about Alexander Dugin, and God told me that I didn't even know who Dugin was. And so when I saw Glenn Beck featuring him, and I was like, oh my goodness, here it is. And he was Glenn Beck was talking about how he believes the restrainer, who we understand to be the Holy Spirit, is Putin. Like Alexander Dugin, and he's an advisor to Putin. His daughter was killed a couple years ago. It was a hit meant for Dugin by the Ukrainians, and his car blew up. And it was supposed to be him, but his daughter was in the car, and she was killed. And he was I saw the video of it. He was standing and watching the car, and there was his daughter. It was just tragic and very sad. But there's something there, and I don't know what it is yet. But I don't know why I threw that out to you guys today. That was not the plan. I wasn't going to go in the direction of Putin at all. No pooty poo. But I really agonize over it because I know it's like I look at all my dad's prophecies, and it's like, okay, he didn't miss it on just Putin. Like there's a reason that he was so adamant, and I've told people on this show before, it's not what Putin has done. I think it's for what Putin is going to do, and we need to be wary
Agreed.
of that. Because if the enemy of these are things God told me, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That's going to change because we're overcoming this now, and this is stretching our eyes to the future.
Well, I mean, just think about especially a new form of energy, and it seems like this is going to start within the U.S.
Yes.
Will this show a lot of jealousy and greed within other nations?
Right.
And then a different kind of conflict later.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, Putin is out of the picture, but Russia still extends its hand.
Right.
And so, and those are the kinds of things I would probably talk to Trump about if I had 5 minutes with him. I would be like, okay, you need to look at you need to look at these prophecies. You need to look at this. You need to watch out for those kind of things.
Absolutely.
But I can't even get a picture with Trump. So he's very busy now, though. I don't want to bother him either. He needs to do what he's got to do. He's got to go do what Trump does. So it's fine. If I don't get my picture, I'll be okay.
Donna, I don't know if we told your dad where you talked about Firepoint.
Yes.
I don't know if we told you that we talked to. So there is a Firepoint E company that just started this year. It's not public yet. His name is Bill Smith, and he told us he met your dad. Your dad told him you are going to bring forth this new
technologies.
new technologies. And I think you would like to. I think you would enjoy talking to him. He's breaking ground on a brand new facility in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania.
And you know what? Your dad said when your dad said people will say we were standing on it the whole time. This technology. Well, this technology, Firepoint, is going to it can literally take garbage. It can take coal, like the slack dumps from coal mines. And he said there's so much stuff sitting on top of the ground that they can turn into energy.
And in your dad's prophecy, he said it's going to be in the garbage.
Yes, he did.
Yep.
Yeah.
He talked about the garbage. He talked about bugs and things that you walk on.
Bugs are eating it.
Yes.
That is so interesting. I did not know this.
Yeah, we had him on the show, and
connected with Bill Smith.
Yes, we'll give you his email.
He wants to speak with you. Yeah,
yes. You can give him my email. Give him my contact.
Okay.
I'll totally talk to Bill. Oh,
yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah, he said
that technology is going to blow people's minds.
The first time he met your dad, because he didn't really know. He wanted to go a different route, and he said your dad came around the corner, pointed at him, said, "God is about to give you more technology," and kept walking.
Yeah, and he's like, I didn't know who this guy was.
My dad did that.
He's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, he's like, who is this guy? But he said he could tell that he was in, you know, there was just something about him. Like your dad, you know, when your dad walks into a room, I'm sure
Yes,
it's
it's
there's
always
something.
like that.
And he said, I didn't know who he was, but he said that's why he named his company Firepoint E.
That's
Yeah.
incredible.
So who popped that up? Lou?
Probably
So
Lou.
if you look,
What is this?
so this is a picture from the debt clock, the
This-
US debt
yeah.
clock. Now, if you'll look, it looks like there's a new form of energy in a trunk right there.
Yes.
Well, that is the very spot where Firepoint E is breaking ground, is in Pennsylvania. And I
in
was like, no way,
Pennsylvania.
no way. And then if you look, there's a gold chest. Where at? Out on the West Coast by California.
I see it.
Yeah.
Oh, good heavens.
So I think I think the future, you know, like your dad said, the year 2027, we're beyond the veil of limitations, and I think the future is going to be amazing.
I think
What
it
did he
is.
say? What did he say, Chris? He said he wants to revolutionize the government in 2 years.
Yeah, Trump
Yeah,
said I want to
if
revolutionize the
2
government in
years
2 years.
brings
And I
us to
believe him. He can do
2027.
it.
Yep.
Beyond the veil of limitation. That seems to us that I'm telling everybody, like, you better prepare for the first couple weeks of after Trump's inaugurated, because it may be the most chaotic time period you've ever seen in your
Yeah.
life.
We need to be praying too, and praying for his
Yes.
protection every single
Yes.
day. Just pray for, and you know what? It is working. We heard that about the witches trying to cast spells, and they were saying there's some kind of a shield around him. So you know that it's working, but the prayers are very important. We don't tend to think that they are, but they really are. And just keep praying for his protection. But we know it was prophesied, so I don't think it'll be successful. I don't think we need to actually be fearful, but we need to be aware.
Right.
And you know, watchmen, what of the night? We need to be in that kind of mode, and we need to be prepared at all times, especially between now and the inauguration. And I don't mean this to make people fearful or to come. I'm not coming from a fearful place. We have to be wise and aware of we have an enemy. We have a lot of enemies, and they've just suffered a crippling defeat, and they
Yes.
are very quiet.
Yes.
And that is we can't just you know, sit back and nap like I did today.
Now's the time to get to work.
We can't just let go because we've got to make it not only to to inauguration, but to through that 4 years. You know, we really have to carry one another and pray for our leaders and all the people involved. And but we're out of time, guys. We've gone
That's
for an
all
hour and a
right.
half. Yeah, we're done.
Fine.
Okay.
We're gonna run out of time on the website.
Fine.
Cut us
we
off.
have
I
to
guess
go.
I'll go.
But thank you for joining me. I love hanging out with you guys. It actually is
Absolutely.
when we do this, it's like I totally forget we're even doing a show. And it's like
Yeah.
I'm just hanging out
Yeah.
with you
Yeah.
guys.
Just yeah.
But I
Yeah.
like that. And you see where I put
I
it?
love it. It looks so good behind you. I
It looks
love it.
so good. It looks so much better. And then the staff, this is my dad's staff with his mantle.
Yes.
And I decided because that corner looked a little bare after we redid the back. So we put the staff with the mantle. I had this at my house and I was like, you know what? I'm going to bring this. I took it to Washington, D.C. with us too when we went to pray before the election. So this
Mhm.
was the special staff. He took this all over the world with him. And then there's his mantle on it. So
Love it.
you helped me
How much?
redo my set and it looks so much
Yeah.
better. I love it. So thank you again for that. And everybody, if you're wondering, they gave me this. They made it for me. And on here, it says you're somewhere in the future and you look much better than you look right now, which is Dad's most famous saying. And the American flag is beautiful. It's just lovely. I just love it so much. It's just like the best
Awesome.
gift you could possibly have given me. I'm so happy. So thank you again for that. And for everybody who joined us today, we're just going to keep praying for our president, for one another. And we're going to be fine. Is there anything I need to announce, Lou? I'm sure there's stuff. There's stuff. I'm tired today, you guys. Books. Okay. So if anybody has given today, we have that little banner down there. So if you want to support what this show and what the House of Destiny Network is doing, we want to give back to you if you've supported us. And so we have here a 31-day devotional And this is called the Daily Light because my dad used to email all of us kids, everybody on the ministry staff, and other friends and family members used to get every day. He wrote this Daily Light email. He'd write it in the mornings and send it out to everybody as encouragement or whatever. And so we gathered the best of them and put it in a 31-day devotional because Dad loved devotionals. Every Christmas, every Father's Day, every birthday, us kids were getting journals, Bibles, and devotionals because we knew that's what he wanted. And so we want to give this to you for a donation of any amount. So if you gave anything today, make sure that you use or if you're going to, make sure you use the QR code on the screen there. Or go to kimclement.com and make sure you click the banner so we know to send it to you. Because otherwise, some people give regularly and maybe you don't want to get this every time. So make sure you click the banner or use the QR code so we know you want it. But I mean, you can give anything 50 cents. If you give 50 cents, you're going to get this and we want you to have it. We just need to be able to cover the cost of shipping and printing it. So there's that. And then we just this past year released this one, which is more letters and things that Dad wrote. And he was such an incredible writer. He wasn't just a good musician and this incredible prophet. He was a really incredible writer. He was so articulate. It was beautiful how he would put things. And so we gathered some of his from his notes and things he wrote over the years and put it into this beautiful book. And I just love the cover. I love it so much. This crest, he made this. He designed this crest and it's on everything. And so if you give $25 or more, and we do that because this is a new release and it's a little bit bigger of a book. And so again, we have to pay for shipping and to get it to you. But if you gave $25 or more today, we want to send you this. But just again, remember, use the QR code. If you don't like QR codes, I completely understand. Go to the website, kimclement.com, and make sure you'll be able to find it there and just click the banner and let us know you want it and we'll send it to you. And everybody who joined us today, I hope you enjoyed this gathering of code breaking. It was a little intense today. We didn't even get to the season's prophecy. We'll get there. And of course, thank you again to Israel and Chris from the Alpha Vets. They are my favorite to code break with, them and Trey Smith. And so we really, I think it was good today. It was a good session today. And so thank you, everybody, for joining us again, for supporting us. Make sure you have a look at our Prophecy Vault because that is our partnership program. And when you join that, you are helping me to gather because I haven't gathered everything. There's prophecies that are missing. There's stuff that we have not been able to even watch the footage of, and we want to digitize it. So by supporting us, you're actually supporting doing that because this is the legacy of my father, Kim Clement. And of course, we are not charging for prophecies. Somebody had asked that before. The prophecies, it's all free. The prophecy database remains on the website free. This is just nicer, extra. All his teachings, School of the Prophets, you don't have to purchase it separately. If you're a partner, you just get it. And I encourage you to go back there and have a look because I worked really hard to make it awesome. Not only for you guys, but awesome in a way that if my dad went in, that he would like it. And that's the way I was thinking of it when we started putting our partnership together. So do have a look at that and consider joining us. It's $7 or more a month, so it's not very much, but it's enough for us to because we're not a very big, we're not a big ministry. Our staff is like 10 people, and we're very, very frugal, and we're not trying to enrich ourselves in any way. But in order to bring these prophecies to you and make sure everybody hears them, it does cost a little bit, and then of course to keep building and adding to that legacy so that one day we can show our children and grandchildren there was this man, Kim Clement, and this is what God did through him. And you can look at everything. And that's my dream. And that's what I'm working towards. So if you want to join and support us and become a partner with us, that's a great way to do it. And don't miss anything we've got going on this week. We've got Prophetic Rewind tomorrow, part 2 of what we started last week. It's going to be really good. He's going to preach this part. Last week was the prophecy part. This week's going to be where he preached and taught on the prophetic, which is so great to have his insight on because it helps you understand what he's prophesied to when you listen to him talk about it. And so I encourage you to watch Prophetic Rewind. That will be up tomorrow. Then all through the week, we've got Real Life, Real Faith on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we've got Church with Fa. Thursdays, Charlie Jordan, who you've been seeing on our Saturday broadcasts much more lately. He does Perspectives of the Prophetic. Is that how you say it? I always mess up the name. It's a newer show, and I haven't quite got that one down. But it's so great to hear from Charlie and his insights, because he was there with my dad every time he prophesied. So it's incredible to hear from him. And then Fridays, we have Israel Update. Christy Desfontaine and Dubi Sabo is on the ground in Israel giving us updates all the time about what is happening there. So if you don't trust the media, go check out Israel Update, and they will be able to fill you in on what is happening in Israel. And that's so important. And so check out Israel Update on Saturdays. And then, of course, on Fridays. And then Saturday, me, Christy, and Charlie have been looking at the prophecies, looking at what the news, what was fulfilled. And we've been doing what we've been calling Code Breakers analysis. And so we gave my mom a little break. She's been taking care of my brother, Matt, this summer. He had some trouble, and please keep praying for him. That's my adopted brother. So we gave Mom a break, and we looked at the season's prophecy, and we have just all summer long been tracking what's been going on with the elections, and now up to the inauguration. And so Charlie's been joining us on Saturdays, and of course Christy, I was just telling you. So don't miss Saturdays, because that's a very important day here at the House of Destiny Network. And again, I thank you all for joining me today, and I'll see you next week.
To our global outreach, enabling us to take the love and hope of Jesus Christ to those who need it most. Our Boots on the Ground Partnership Program physically ministers to those in desperate situations all over the world. The Israel Partnership furthers Kim's legacy of outreach to Israel and Jewish people worldwide. We invite you to become a partner today. Join us today and be part of a community that inspires hope, brings restoration to life, and often healing from the past. Together, we can make a difference, and we thank you for your ongoing support. We are partnering with you to let our viewers, of course, know about your company. It's Beverly Hills Precious Metal.
Andrew, explain how that works.
So I'll walk you through it right now. So if you go to bh-pm.com, right there on the homepage, you'll see a form that you could fill out. And that form is very important in letting us know how we can help you. So you just put in your first name, last name, email address, phone number. There's a section that says, how did you hear about us? And in there, put Kim Clement. And then there's a portion where you could write a couple of notes down on the bottom. Usually within about 24 to 48 hours, we'll contact you. And then by phone call, and then we'll go over everything with you. This isn't a high pressure deal. We always recommend that if you feel uncomfortable, take a step back, pray about it. You will gain the answers that you need by doing that, and come back to us when you're comfortable.